The pest management business package, talk about a service that basically no matter where you're located, we've got bugs all over the place. Spiders, cockroaches. Cockroaches are terrible. Pest management industry, no matter how, probably my favorite thing about this package is no matter how automated things get, because we talk a lot right now at our point in history about the automation of jobs and how we're going to have to adapt and we're going to have to make changes because people are going to lose their jobs due to automation. It's just going to happen. This one, I don't think is going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't fathom a scenario where this could be an automated system. I mean, every property is different. The approach to pest management is typically a nuanced one, and pests are going to vary. So definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution out there, I think, for this. And I think on the demand side, I think every homeowner wants to just come home, enjoy their property, not have to worry about pests, property damage that could result from that, just the cleanliness concerns. I think having a subscription where you can hire this out, take it off your radar, just enjoy your property, know that this is being handled. I think that everybody's going to want this.
Yeah, when my son, so when we first started subscribing to a pest management service, and we still do to this day, my son was about 4, and he would walk around my son and my wife both, they just don't like bugs. Bugs don't bother me as much. I mean, I'm not like, hey, there's bugs in my house, but it's not something that keeps me up at night. It keeps them up at night. And though my son would walk around the house at 4 years old and he knew where every spider was located, it really bothered him. My wife hates spiders. And so that was when we first started, because it was like, man, we lived in this older farmhouse and it's had spiders. And then we had chickens, and with chickens comes rats. And so there was rats too. So we hired a pest management company, and just ever since then, we've always kept a pest management company, and we've changed basically only when we've moved, we've changed. So, talk about a stability business. This is something, when I'm looking at cutting back, like I don't want my house filled with, bugs and rodents and stuff like that. So when I'm looking at potentially slicing back some expenses, this isn't one of them that we talk about.
Yeah, I mean, and in fact, I think a lot of people aren't even in a position to rule this out. When you have carpenter beetles, termites, things that damage infrastructure and homes, I mean, this is a critical component of maintaining that major investment for the average American family.
Right.
And then I think for the person operating this, the great thing is it should be a fairly manageable thing to have this subscription service, go out, stay on top of it. You're going to be familiar with the properties. That's going to make this even more efficient for you. And then you're also going to have that stable income, because people are subscribing. So you're not, going out, learning a property, getting a one-off payment, waiting and hoping for that next job. Instead, you build your book of business, have this stability, forecast profits, plan accordingly. And if the desire is to do so, you can scale this thing up no problem at all.
Yeah, well, and that's the nice thing is coupled with the startup series, that walks you through how to do everything with your business, how to take it from I have an idea to, hey, look, I've got money in my bank account, walks you through the whole thing. And with this one in particular, there's some businesses that just by virtue of what they do, they're going to take a sizable investment. It's going to take some money. It's going to take a lot of resources to make it go. This one, obviously you need a vehicle because you got to go from job site to job site. But I think the biggest investment in this is your time. And when you're a startup entrepreneur, when you're first starting off, that's the one thing that you have usually the most of is your personal time to operate your business. And then you go through, you get the subscriptions put into place because, nobody's going to say, I want you to come spray my house once. They're, how much is it for your monthly service, for your monthly spray, for your quarterly service, whatever it is that the consumer's needing. It's a subscription model. And so, talk about a way just utilizing your time, minimizing your expenses, and making it to where you've got a solid start.
Absolutely. And I think this is also a model that gives a lot of opportunity for organic growth. People are going to see you spraying the neighbors, they're going to see you out and about. And I think that because this is something everybody needs, and people hate to have to worry about it, they hate to have to account for this, call, make an appointment. I think this is something that just organically could grow no problem at all.
Yeah, I think, and we've, I know you and I, and I think you have, I've seen several of these startup that we've done business with over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And they've started up and just they keep growing and growing and growing, hiring technicians, and they're trying to find technicians to fulfill the growth demand that's out there.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's like we said, every property needs it. Everybody doesn't want to have to worry about it. So, I mean, sky's the limit, really. I mean, there's as much opportunity for this as there are houses in the country.
Now, you've worked under our business methodology. Tell me how our way of doing things has impacted your life.
Well, it's improved my life in many different ways. I've learned to, operate in business more efficiently, more strategically, with a greater focus on win-win outcomes, where the business is profiting, but the, clients and customers are happy. So it's been a very enriching process, and I've learned a lot from you guys. You guys have that entrepreneurial spirit that just makes for good business, and so it's been just an absolute pleasure working with you guys.
And now, what about financially? How would you say your situation is different?
Well, it's been enormously personally rewarding, financially rewarding. We've been able to do things we never imagined being able to do just a few years before. Your unique approach to business has enabled us to, be more profitable than our competitors. We've had a better work-life balance, I think, than most people who, even get close to approaching our income threshold. So I think really, I mean, as rewarding as something could be, it has been for us.
Now, do you feel like our way of doing things has profitability advantages over traditional ways of doing business?
Oh, most certainly. Yeah. I think you can, tell just by our history of growth. I mean, I think, are willing to adapt our business strategies, fill any niche role that's out there, and just, capitalize on things that other businesses aren't even aware of. So, yeah, I think we, have had a much greater level of success than our competitors with more profitability and oftentimes less busy work.
Yeah, certainly. And I think too, with the startup series goes over all sorts of that kind of stuff. And just the ways that we've been luckily forced to adapt and learn how to do things with less staff and, more technology based or more efficiency based, just really picking things apart down to the typing of emails or not. Stuff like that makes a huge difference, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Breaking things down to their kind of constituent components, seeing what you absolutely have to have, what's not necessary, and then putting your energy behind what drives, maximum productivity and profitability. And I think that's been where we've had a lot of our success.
Now, Justin, what would you say to someone who is thinking about buying one of these business packages, but is maybe nervous about starting a business from scratch instead of going with a more expensive traditional franchise, or maybe nervous about something else with starting a business?
Well, I would say that, now is a very good time, I think, for someone to look at starting their own business. And I think, when you're weighing these options, say in comparison to a more expensive franchise, I think the flexibility that's afforded because you still own and have control of your own business, I think
Absolutely.
that's huge. I think that's why a lot of people start a business. They don't want to have to report to someone and curtail their goal and operations based on the direction of somebody else. So I think you get all of those benefits. But I think the other thing that's, a major advantage is that it is lower cost. You're not paying a percentage of your income for an indefinite period. You just have the ability to take a proven model, to adapt it to your specific situation, to be given all the tools to implement your strategy and your goals and to achieve it. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, obviously, that started several businesses, when I look back over what worked really well and what did not work really well, it's the unknowns that are waiting out there to just, grab you by the foot and trip you up. And that's really what I think makes businesses fail. I think there's probably two major things that make businesses fail. Number one is not knowing a system and process that's proven for success, which it takes a while to get there. And then number two is just these pitfalls that every single entrepreneur will face at some point in time or another. And having the startup series as a guide to continually reference back to me, makes all the difference in the world compared to somebody that does not have that resource. And business consultants are really, really, really expensive. It's a good way to, especially when you're in the startup phases, That's a good way to really drain profitability, is having to call somebody and pay them by the hour every time you have a question, rather than just referencing a resource that you've got on your computer.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're getting basically a veteran business model that works.
Yeah.
And you're able to use that from the get-go. So, I mean, it's like, taking the Microsoft model when you're starting a software company. It's as good a start as you could have.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining me here and going over these business packages. And, for you guys there thinking about this, you can submit on our website or you can give us a call at 844-500-6620 and speak with a business launching consultant. Again, that's 844-500-6620. Thanks so much.